Good morning and welcome to another IRMSA podcast. My name is Chris Brits and I'm the Executive Director for Marsh Risk Consulting, which is a division of the Marsh & McLennan Group of companies. Marsh employ approximately 55,000 risk professionals globally. I've been in the industry now for 25 years and started my career back in 1990 when I was employed by the Commercial Union Insurance Company as a risk surveyor in their short-term insurance business. The primary objective of a risk surveyor is to identify and quantify and eventually mitigate risks which threaten the assets and earnings of a business. This has become more prevalent in our society today as commercial employers become more aware of the significance of risks in our industry. After spending 5 years with Commercial Union, I was approached by Alexander Forbes Risk Services, who was the single largest provider of risk and advisory services in the short-term insurance industry to Africa. And there I was appointed as a risk consultant in the Northern Division. A few years later, after taking on the managing director role, we consolidated our position in the Johannesburg branch, where I've spent 15 years with the organization. In 2012, Marsh & McLennan Group of companies acquired Alexander Forbes Risk Services, and that is where I still currently am employed today. Risk management is not necessarily something you would imagine thinking about at the tender age of matric or even in your undergraduate or postgraduate degrees. And the reason for this is that risk is actually inherent in all forms and facets of life. During my tenure with both Alexander Forbes and Marsh, it became apparent to me that experience was not the only form required to manage risk efficiently. And as a result, I had a quest for knowledge. This drove me to, in the first instance, complete my undergrad, postgrad and masters in commerce, focusing specifically on managing risk in projects and programs. After another couple of years, I realized that learning was a lifelong objective and not something which was finite, and I went on to complete my masters in business administration. Whilst my professional career has enhanced my knowledge and understanding of risk in the broader context, it's always been a challenge to identify or align oneself with an institute, either locally or internationally, that could share greater insights and develop that knowledge and expand on the experience that's required to grapple with the day-to-day risks as they emerge from time to time. I came into contact with IRMSA in 2010 when I was asked to join the IRMSA EXCO. And over the 4 years and the period I've served with the Institute, sitting on a number of bodies and committees, it's become apparent that the lack of resources generally in the local industry aligned to supporting students and the application of theory, gaining that experience in the local economy, has driven IRMSA to embark on a national student strategy. The strategy consists of a number of points, but essentially targets those looking at undergrads and postgrads and identifying potential opportunities for them to enhance their knowledge and skills in the risk community. I'm proud to say that IRMSA recently embarked on a process of professionalization where not only were they granted the status, but for the first time this year, IRMSA students, partners, and members were able to write the first professional exam. The current year is moving into a very new and dynamic space where next year senior partners, senior members, and senior students will be able to write the second board exam. This has for the first time created a professional path for those who have dabbled in the past through only local experience and their own qualification to find something which is more structured, organized, and which companies locally will recognize as a future and a career.